Episode 4. What the fuck did I just step into? So now Lance is trying to get some information out of Mr. Junkers, but obviously he ain't getting shit. Later on, Kenzo's about to take Mr. Junkers out for a stroll, you know what I'm saying, around the park or whatever. They start talking, and all of a sudden, Mr. Junker starts talking to him. He talks to him about this clock he always wanted to get, but he ends up being a locksmith, a lockpick, or whatever like that. Then he says all of his associates were killed by this monster that he kept talking about. I'm like, who the fuck is this monster? But Kenzo really wants him to start his life over, you know what I'm saying, confess to crimes and all this other stuff and come clean, you know what I mean? But later on in the hospital, Mr. Junkers is actually thinking about that, so he's knocking on the door and he wants to talk to the officer that's watching after the door. Turns out he sees the officer done deal dead as shit. We're like, what the fuck? Meanwhile, Kenzo's supposed to go on this date that Dr. Becker set him up with, you know what I'm saying, some higher up chick or ranking or whatever like that. But then he goes by the store and he sees this daggone clock. A clock with a nutcracker coming out. So he's thinking to himself, this would be the perfect gift to give to Mr. Junkers, right? So he wraps it up and he ends up going back to the hospital. Sees the police officer dead as shit, but then he notices a piece of whatever on the side. It's a fucking candy wrapper. He goes in the room and finds Mr. Junkers not there. He looks out the window and sees him start running. So he's chasing at Mr. Junkers and they end up chasing into his abandoned building. He's calling out to him. He's like, yo. And Mr. Junkers is like, no, don't come near me. Don't come near me. You know what I'm saying? He'll kill you. So this monster he kept talking about. So we're like, who the fuck is this guy talking about? And then we see Mr. Junkers on his knees and there's one dude staring in the shadows. We're like, who the fuck is that? Turns out it's this dude named Johan. Now, who's Johan? Johan is Hana's brother, the one that Kenzo saved 9 years ago. I'm like, what the fuck? Turns out he hired Mr. Junkers and his associates to do these jobs, right? Whatever like that. Now, the thing is, these other guys, they had murked off on like 4 other different families or whatever like that. But after they did their jobs, Johan ended up killing all these niggas. Now, this is where the part gets crazy. Because Kenzo ends up saving Johan's life, and then Kenzo's life he thought was miserable, whatever like that. Apparently, when he was talking about the directors and the, you know what I'm saying, the doctors back in the day, and he wished them dead. Apparently, Johan was going to grant him his wish. So it turns out Johan was actually conscious after Kenzo left the hospital. So when they say those 2 doctors and directors died because of the candy, it turns out Johan was the one that poisoned the candy. But then I thought to myself, do all the presents and get well soon stuff he got, how the fuck did he know those particular doctors were going to be the ones to eat the candy? That shit is wild. So basically, Johan ends up pocketing Mr. Junkers, done deal dead as shit, and then just walks past Kenzo going about his business. I'm like, what the fuck? Of course, Lance is doing his investigation on Kenzo, but obviously he can't find shit, ain't no evidence or nothing tied to him. All this craziness. Now I'm thinking to myself, what the heck happened to Johan's sister? And of course, the only reason Johan didn't kill Kenzo at that time is because basically he saved his life. Now, obviously, Johan must know that Lance is looking into Kenzo, so he really has no reason to kill Kenzo, so there you go. He's pretty much a scapegoat right now. I'm only on episode 4, and this is batshit crazy.